Mr. Towers Chandler was getting his fancy evening clothes ready in his small room. He heated one iron on a little stove and used the other to make nice folds in his suit. We can trust you with the details about his dressing up. The rest, you can guess, especially if you've had to do things you didn't want to because you didn't have much money. Now, imagine Mr. Chandler looking really good, leaving his place all dressed up, feeling calm and sure of himself, like a typical young guy from New York going out for a fun night. Chandler got $18 each week for his work at an architect's office. He was 22, loved thinking about architecture as an art, and secretly thought a famous building in New York wasn't as well designed as a big church in Milan. Every week, Chandler saved $1 from what he earned. After 10 weeks, he had enough extra money to buy a special evening, like a fancy night out, from a kind of time store. He dressed up like a rich person, went to the liveliest part of the city, and had a nice dinner with good taste and luxury. With $10, a person can pretend to be a wealthy person for a short time. It's enough for a good meal, a bottle with a fancy label, fair tips, a smoke, taxi money, and other things. For Chandler, having this one enjoyable evening out of every dull 70 was like finding happiness again. Imagine it's like when someone goes to their first big party and always remembers it, even when they're old. For Chandler, every 10 weeks, it felt just as exciting and new. Chandler walked up the busy street called Broadway, joining the evening crowd in their fancy clothes. On this night, he was both someone to look at and someone looking around. But for the next 69 nights, he knew he'd be eating at not-so-fancy places, wearing regular clothes, and having simple meals like sandwiches and beer in his small room. That was okay with him because he loved the exciting side of the city, and having one special night was worth many ordinary ones. Chandler took a long walk, delaying his arrival where the busy and bright road called Broadway meets the 40s. Since he only gets to be part of the fancy world once every 70 days, he wanted to enjoy it for as long as he could. Many eyes, shining with different feelings, were on him. His clothes and style showed that he was someone who loved enjoying relaxing and fun times. At a particular corner, he stopped, thinking about whether to go back to the showy and stylish restaurant where he usually had dinner on special nights. Just then, a girl hurriedly came around the corner, slipped on a bit of icy snow, and fell right on the sidewalk. Chandler quickly helped her stand up, being polite and concerned. The girl went to the wall of a building, leaned on it, and thanked him quietly. "I think my ankle got twisted," she said. "It hurts when I put weight on it. But I think I can walk in a minute or two." "If you need more help," Chandler offered, "I can get a taxi, or—" "Thank you," the girl said, softly but warmly. "You don't have to bother more. I was clumsy. And my shoe heels are so practical, I can't blame them at all." Chandler looked at the girl and found her interesting. She was pretty in a nice way, and her eyes were both cheerful and kind. She wore a simple black dress that looked like a uniform that shopgirls wear. Her shiny dark brown hair peeked out from under a cheap black hat with only a velvet ribbon and boas decoration. She could be a model for a self-respecting working girl. A quick idea popped into the young architect's mind. He wanted to invite this girl to have dinner with him. That's what was missing from his splendid but lonely special nights, having someone's company. He was sure this girl was a nice lady, her way of talking and acting showed that. Even though her clothes were very simple, he felt happy about the idea of sitting at a table with her. He quickly decided to ask her, even though it wasn't very polite. Sometimes girls who work and earn money skip following rules in situations like this. They are usually good at judging people and trust their own judgment more than unnecessary rules. His $10, used carefully, would let them have a really good dinner. It would be a fantastic experience for the girl, breaking the routine of her regular life, and her lively enjoyment of it would make his special night even better. "I think," he said to her, seriously but openly, "that your foot needs more time to rest. Now, I have an idea that can help you rest your foot and also do me a favor. I was going to have dinner all by myself when you fell around the corner. Come with me, and we'll have a nice dinner and a good chat. By the time we're done, your sore foot will be okay, I'm sure." The girl quickly looked up at Chandler's friendly face. Her eyes sparkled for a moment, and then she smiled genuinely. "But we don't know each other, it wouldn't be right, would it?" she said, unsure. "There is nothing wrong about it," said the young man, honestly. "I'll introduce myself, let me in Mr. Towers Chandler. After our dinner, which I will try to make as nice as possible, I will say good evening or walk you safely to your door, whichever you like." "But, oh my," said the girl, looking at Chandler's perfect clothes. "In this old dress and hat." "Don't worry about that," said Chandler, happily. "I'm sure you look more charming in them than anyone will see in the fanciest dinner outfit." "My ankle still hurts," admitted the girl, trying to walk with a little limp. "I think I will accept your invitation, Mr. Chandler. You can call me Miss Marion." "Come then, Miss Marion," said the young architect, cheerfully but very politely. "You won't have to walk far. There is a very good restaurant in the next block. You can lean on my arm like this and walk slowly. It's not fun to eat alone. I'm a little glad that you slipped on the ice." When they sat at a well-prepared table, with a helpful waiter nearby, Chandler started feeling the true joy that his regular special nights always brought him. The restaurant wasn't as fancy as the one further down Broadway, which he liked more, but it was close. The tables were full of well-off diners, there was good music playing softly, making it easy to chat, and the food and service were excellent. His companion, even in her simple hat and dress, carried herself with a style that added something special to her natural beauty. And she surely looked at Chandler, with his lively but calm manner and his bright and honest blue eyes, with something close to admiration in her own lovely face. That's when the excitement of Manhattan, the craze for showing off, the bragging bug, and the fancy acting flew hit Towers Chandler. He was on Broadway, surrounded by grandness and style, and people were looking at him. In this comedy, he decided to play the role of a fancy and lazy person for just one night. He was dressed for the part, and all his good angels couldn't stop him from acting it out. So, he started talking to Miss Marion about clubs, teas, golf, riding, kennels, cotillions, and trips abroad. He even hinted at owning a yacht at Larchmont. She seemed really impressed by all these things, so he kept up the act by dropping hints about being super rich and casually mentioning some important names that people usually respect. It was Chandler's short day, and he wanted to get the most out of it, or so he thought. But, now and then, he saw the genuine goodness in this girl shining through the mist of his self-centered ideas. "This way of living you're talking about," she said, "sounds kind of pointless. Don't you have work that might interest you more in the world? My dear Miss Marion, he exclaimed, work! Imagine getting dressed every day for dinner, making lots of visits in an afternoon, and having a policeman at every corner ready to stop your car if you go faster than a donkey cart. We, who do nothing, are the hardest workers in the land. After dinner, they left the restaurant, and Miss Marion walked much better now. Her limp was hardly noticeable. Thanks for a nice time, she said honestly. I have to go home now. I really enjoyed the dinner, Mr. Chandler. He shook her hand, smiling warmly, and mentioned playing bridge at his club. He watched her for a moment, walking quickly eastward, and then he found a taxi to slowly go back home. In his cold room, Chandler put away his fancy clothes for a 69-day break. He thought about it carefully. That was an amazing girl, he said to himself. She's good, I'm sure, even if she has to work. Maybe if I had told her the truth instead of all that show-off, things might be different, but, oh well. I had to act like my clothes wanted me to. The girl, after leaving the man who treated her to dinner, quickly walked across town until she reached a beautiful and calm house 2 blocks to the east, facing the avenue where people love money and other important things. She went inside in a hurry and went up to a room where a beautiful young lady in a fancy house dress was anxiously looking out the window. "Oh, you wild one," said the older girl when the other came in. "When will you stop scaring us like this? It's been 2 hours since you went out in that old dress and Marie's hat. Mom has been so worried. She sent Louis in the car to try to find you. You're a naughty and careless puss." The older girl pressed a button, and a maid came in quickly. "Marie, tell Mom that Miss Marion is back." "Don't be mad, sister. I just went to Madame Theo's to tell her to use mauve instead of pink. My outfit and Marie's hat were just what I needed. I'm sure everyone thought I was a shopgirl." "Dinner is done, dear. You stayed out so late." "I know. I slipped on the sidewalk and hurt my ankle. I couldn't walk, so I limped into a restaurant and sat there until I felt better. That's why I took so long." The 2 girls sat in a comfy spot by the window, looking at the lights and the fast-moving cars on the avenue. The younger one snuggled down with her head in her sister's lap. "We'll have to get married someday," she said, dreaming, "both of us. We have so much money that we can't let people down. Do you want me to tell you the kind of man I could love, sis?" "Go on, you silly," smiled the other. "I could love a man with dark and kind blue eyes, who is nice and polite to poor girls, who is good-looking and kind and doesn't try to flirt. But I could only love him if he had a goal, something to do in the world. I wouldn't care how not rich he was if I could help him build his way up. But, dear sister, the kind of man we always meet, the man who lives a lazy life between fancy parties and his clubs, I couldn't love a man like that, even if his eyes were blue and he was really kind to poor girls he met on the street."